Hi everybody and welcome back to TripleG Comics. I'm Peter, your Ginger Geordie geek, and thanks very much for joining me today. I just want to start off with a quick shout out to a guy called Gary Corrigan, who very kindly designed and gave me for free the imagery for my new channel. Gary spotted my first video on Facebook and very kindly got in touch and did this completely free of charge. And that's what I love about this community, the fact that people are willing to help each other out and do nice things for people with no benefit to themselves. So thank you very much, Gary, it's much appreciated. So on today's video, what I'm wanting to do is to cast my mind back to when I was at school and we used to do something called show and tell. And I'm sure many of you did the same thing. This is where the teacher used to ask you to bring in an item from home that you particularly enjoyed or you particularly liked that you wanted to show the rest of the class. So I'm going to do a series of these videos, and the first one today is Stan Lee. I would imagine everybody watching this channel knows who Stan Lee, massive character in the comic book community. Regardless of what you think of him, you cannot deny that he had a huge impact on the superhero genre and did marvellous things for Marvel, pun intended. Massive character, and it's one of my biggest regrets that I never got to actually see him or meet him in person. For many years I wanted a Stan Lee signed collectible. I particularly wanted something that he'd had a hand in creating. I didn't want necessarily one of the books that he's never had anything to do with, but he's signed anyway. So for example, something like a New Mutants 98 signed by Stan Lee is of no interest to me really. What I did want to do was to try and find something that he was involved with, he may have wrote or he edited or something like that. And unfortunately I never got him to sign something in person. I set my heart on getting him to sign a copy of an early Avengers book that I had, which had an absolutely stunning Thor cover, Thor being my favourite character. And I'd spent a long time getting this book, and then I waited for him to come to a UK convention to get it signed, and then unfortunately he passed away before that happened. So with us not being able to achieve that, I did start doing some digging around eBay and the Facebook pages and things, and I've slowly built up a bit of a collection. I've kind of waned a little bit and I've picked up a few things that perhaps he wasn't as involved with creating, but I've amassed a fairly sizable collection of Stan Lee memorabilia, I guess you would say. I'm not going to show you it all today. What I am going to show you is some of my favourite pieces. I've got a Raw comic to show you, I've got a couple of CGC comics to show you, and I've got a few bits and bobs that I just think are of interest that I think you might like as well. So I'd be really interested in the comments to hear your tales of Stan Lee, and also to see what collectibles you've got, and also to see if you disagree with us. Do you think a Stan Lee signature on any book is collectible, or do you think it's best to try and get a Stan Lee signature on something you had a hand in creating? So like I say, first things first, this is not a signature book, this is just a cover that I absolutely love. And this is from an event called Secret Empire, which I'm sure many of you remember. I didn't like it. You see that a lot in my videos. I'm not a big fan of a lot of modern stuff. Didn't particularly like it. One of the big reasons being I am a huge Captain America fan, and I just didn't like what they did with the character in that whole arc. But I love this cover. So those of you that don't know, in that storyline, Steve Rogers goes off the rails a little bit, turns to the dark side as it were, and the whole storyline is about him and being evil basically. And I just love this cover. I love the fact that Stan Lee is ticking him off, wagging the finger at him, and giving him a bit of a bollocking, to be perfectly frank. This cover is a one that I don't know if it was readily available. I think I got it from the Stan Lee box. So I don't know if you remember, but a while ago there was a Stan Lee collectibles box, which was a series of mail away or things that came with exclusive covers. I got quite a few of those at the time, but this is one of the only ones that I've kept because, like I say, I just love it. And I think it's great that all the other heroes are in the background, Stan watching basically Steve get a ticking off from his dad in essence. Love that book, love that cover. It's a great one. Like I say, not worth much, I don't think. Not one I'm going to get CGC'd, just one that I particularly enjoy, and I love the depiction of Stan on the front. Another book that I think will go up in value, and again, not a one, going back on what I said before, so making myself look like a bit of a hypocrite to be honest, is a book that I don't think Stan had anything to do with writing or anything like that. It's broken now. One that I don't think Stan had much to do with writing or anything, but that's Nova, #1. First appearance of Nova in a CGC, 9.2. Beautiful cover, quite a nice silver Stan signature placement there. I think it's a really nice book, and this has got to go up in value. This has got to pop. Nova's got to be in the MCU at some point. Really nice character. I really enjoy the original. I kind of got into Nova more, I think, when he joined a team called the New Warriors a few years back with Night Thrasher and Marvel Boy and things like that. And that was really the first time I became aware of the character. Picked this up a few years back, and again, just love it. I think it's a nice, clean Stan Lee signature in silver. Really nice. The more professional YouTubers will go back and edit the bit where I dropped that, but hey, I'm 40 odd and I can't be bothered. Another book which I was lucky enough to pick up is Tales of Suspense 57. First appearance of Hawkeye. Love the character. Not one that's really, I think, managed to take off. He's been in the Marvel films, obviously, played very well, but I don't think he's a particularly popular character. He never seems to manage to maintain his own series for very long. Again, lovely Stan Lee signature there, nice and clear, and pretty good placement. Those of you that collect Stan Lee signatures or have seen a lot of Stan Lee signatures will know that sometimes it's a bit random where you get the signature. Sometimes it's covering the main character, or sometimes in these later years, unfortunately, the signature is almost unreadable or unrecognisable. This is a nice book, I think. I think it's a nice signature placement, nice cover, and a great first appearance. And as you know from previous videos, that's what I'm all about. I love my first appearances. Next book I got from a friend on Facebook, a gent called Ashley. Avengers #1, graded out of 1. Not the prettiest of covers, I'm going to give you. The art is fantastic, but this particular book has had a bit of a bashing. It's had some tape stuck to it and some tearing, but it is an Avengers 1, which is a fantastic book to have, and it is a Stan Lee signed book. Again, the signature's not the best placement, I guess. You can just about make it out there in black. But it's an Avengers 1, signed by Stan Lee. I couldn't pass this up. I will at some point in the future hopefully get a higher grade Avengers 1. But for an Avengers 1 Stan Lee signature, you can't argue, can you? I did, at some point when I bought this from Ashley, have this absolutely ridiculous notion that I was going to get all of the key books, your Daredevil 1, your Fantastic Four 1, X-Men 1, all the rest of it, with signatures from Stan Lee. Obviously, I'm not a multi-millionaire, so that's never going to happen. So this is probably going to be the only key book I get signed by Stan. Beat up, but I love it. It's an Avengers 1. Can't argue with that, can you? Next one is a real interesting one. I got this many years ago, before Stan Lee passed away, and it's been really hard to try and kind of gauge its price because it's a one-off, it's unique. There are no more like it, and I'll explain it in a minute. So it's a Silver Surfer #16, CGC graded 8. Not a particularly exciting book. Quite a nice cover. I like the cover. Nice picture of Mephisto, who, spoiler, wasn't in WandaVision. Nice cover. Really like it. Superb Stan Lee signature placement on his board there. I think that's a superb place to put it. Now the exciting thing about this is it's a Stan Lee file copy. So I don't know if you can read that there. Stan Lee file copy. When I bought this, I didn't understand and know what that meant, but basically, having done a bit of research, and there's some stories about this and some people doubting its authenticity, I guess. But when you look at it, basically this is Stan Lee's personal file copy, which apparently he signed a number of books and then sold them. I think it was in the 80s. I think after flood damage to his basement or something. But basically, this was his personal copy that he used for reference. So one. There's no others like it. It's the only one, only file copy, only signed copy on the census, held in his own hands, I guess you could say, used by him for reference material. Love it. Like I say, very hard to try and guess a value on this with it being a unique one-off item. I couldn't hazard a guess really, because there is no other sales for this particular book other than when I bought it. So it's hard to judge, I guess. Lovely copy, high grade as well for a book of that age. I think it's an 8 there, which is Lovely. I wonder at some point if I can try and get the banner changed. I'm not a fan of the banner. I would like to maybe update it and things like that. But I'll look into that at some point. But yeah, one off copy. Next thing is one of the things that I particularly liked about Stan Lee, and I think one of the reasons he struck a chord with me, was I used to love his soapboxes in the comics. I am very into equality, diversity, social justice, all that kind of stuff because of my work and my background, I guess. I used to love it when Stan would write about equality for all, diversity for all, you know, treating people with respect, all those kind of things. So a while ago I found this on the internet. I'd never seen them before, never heard of it, and it's a Stan Lee pin badge, and it's a respect badge. Drop a comment below if you've got one of these or if you've even heard of this, because I hadn't heard of it. And basically it's two hands shaken and it says respect, and on the front it says you're a real life superhero, and it's handsofrespect.com. And on the back what it says is respect, you're a true believer. I've designed this respect pin, two hands clasped together under the word respect, signifying unity. Isn't that what humanity is all about? Wear it and let everyone know you have respect for all. Excelsior, Stan Lee. I love that. Now I don't know, because you know, as he got older, Stan put his name to a lot of things. I don't know how involved he was in this badge or the making of the badge, etc. But for me that speaks a lot about some of the things he used to talk about. It's certainly reflective of some of his soapboxes, and I just like it. It's a little bit of knick-knack, I guess, that I don't think many people will have, so I really love that. Okay, best to last, you will have heard us mention before that I'm a massive Thor fan, one of my favourite characters, and I've got this Thor hammer. It's very lightweight, very plastic. I say hammer, its proper name's, what is it, Modulin, Molania? I don't know, it's a hammer. But picked this up when I was in, well, I didn't pick it up in America, sorry, I was in America with the family at Disneyland a couple of years ago. It was around the time of my 40th birthday, and I remember quite clearly we were sat in SeaWorld watching Shamu or something like that, and I was on eBay because I was a little bit bored, and I spotted this and I had to have it. It was very expensive at the time, most expensive collectible I'd ever had. And I convinced my wife basically, and said, oh look at that, that'll go up in value, and it's my 40th birthday, wouldn't it be lovely if someone bought it, a nice present? And I convinced her to bid on it, and I got it. So this is Molyneux, signed by Stan Lee, obviously. Stan's signature is an S and then a kind of a bleh, so I'm presuming that's Stan Lee. It's also signed along here by Chris Hemsworth, so obviously the actor who plays Thor in the comic books. Love this, absolutely love this. Always a bit worried about signatures that you've not kind of got some kind of authenticity for. So this one does come with the Stan Lee authentic Excelsior approved sticker, and also the PSA DNA and a certificate, which is an American, I think, autographing group who've authenticated it. I say that because back in my teens, I was a bit obsessive with signatures, and I bought tons off eBay for Linda Carter, Adam West, all the main superheroes, and they all came with superb certificates of authenticity, which had been printed off a dot matrix kind of printer, and had someone sat in a basement somewhere just kind of sticking the signature to these things. So I don't think any of them are real. This is real. This is definitely real. This is signed by Stan and by Chris Hemsworth, and I love it. It is lightweight, it is plastic. I've got another one behind us there, you'll be able to see that, which is very, very heavy. Big shock a couple of years ago, catching my son playing with this. He didn't last long. So yeah, love it. So that's all my Stan Lee collectibles. Please tell us in the comments below what collectibles you've got by Stan, signed or unsigned, or is interested to see them. Let me know if there are any other show and tells you think you'd be interested in seeing. I've got ideas of doing some, but I'd be interested to hear what you'd like to see from my collection. Thanks very much, and stay safe, and see you next time. Bye.